This is me, Mark Sims again, and I'm asking just a few questions. I have Salim Muwakkil on the line. Salim Muwakkil is the senior editor of In These Times magazine and also the host of the Salim Muwakkil Show on WVON Radio here in Chicago. Mr. Muwakkil, you on the line?
Yes, sir, I am.
Can I call you my leader and my teacher?
No, brother, that's a bit too grandiose for me, man.
No, man. You came on my old TV show years ago, and of course, I've called in on your radio show a few times over the years. And I really, because see, you were born in the 40s, and me, I was born in the 60s, and I rely on the wisdom of a Salim Muwakkil.
Okay, well, I can't convince you otherwise. If that's the way you wanna think, that's and I would endorse that. I mean, there's a lot of things that are useful. Ideas, some of my ideas could be very useful. So I hear you.
You never wanted to start your own church, or what some people would say, church, and call it, House of Muwakkil, and have
man, because
go ahead.
I'm saying because I have traditionally been anti-religious, and been pretty much against the notion of leading any kind of theological or religious crusade. That's never been a part of my agenda.
But people would follow you. You know that, and you would have.
I don't know, man.
You can never know. You have a cult following.
Yeah. Well, they'd be following the wrong person.
But I feel you, because we were talking offline, and it's a video we did years ago at your fine home, which I can't thank you enough for letting me come in your home and do a little video. It's out there on YouTube, and I think, as I remember, you said as you get older, you have become more spiritual.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. I guess I should make the customary distinction between spiritual and religious. Although sometimes, I'm not that much of a fan of making such a distinction, because sometimes I think when people say I'm spiritual but not religious, all they mean by that is that when they are religious, they feel that they have obligations to act a certain way, and when they're spiritual, they can do whatever they want and still say that they're spiritual. So I hesitate from making that distinction, but it is a real distinction, because religion tends to egoize spirituality. It gives it some sort of identity that you have a stake in maintaining, and which is the absolute opposite of what spirituality should be. That is to dissolve identities, those kinds of discrete identities. And so, yeah, I have gotten more spiritual as I've matured, and as I've sampled and been involved in much of the Black activist experience, I guess you can say, because I've had time to survey and probe and research and analyze and scrutinize and all of that, some of the most important issues in Black America. And so I've spent a lot of time examining the causes and the consequences, and the attempted solutions of why we have so many dysfunctions in our community. And so I've kind of come to a conclusion on that, on how to deal with that. But I also realize that's contingent, man. It's a halfway point, because I think reparations really is the answer to that. I don't think there's any other way to deal with those problems, because we have these injuries that are historically instilled into us, and they have to be repaired. And there's only one way to be repaired, and that is by something that is specifically oriented toward those injuries. But Black identity, the injuries that part of that injury is our lack of identity. our lack of any kind of sustaining identity. And but even that, even if we get that identity, that any racial identity is still just a social construct, and we ultimately that construct has to be transcended, and that's the spiritual struggle that we have to get to eventually. Either we're serious about that struggle or we're not.
Oh, okay, now this is me listening. I was,
Mm-hmm.
let me come out. That was really deep. So let me come out of the deepness and go into the shallow part of the waters where I lie.
Okay,
The
okay.
thing about it is that, so you saying, Salim Muwakkil, that it's nice to be spiritual, but you still have to have some money.
Oh man, you have to have you have to have resources. You have to have available resources. In fact, your spirituality, I think, has to has to emerge from a place in which you have that sort of resource assuredness that you're not living on the edge of survival. If you live on the edge of survival, you're in a predatory mode primarily because you have to obtain resources by hook or crook, and that's not conducive to a spiritual exploration. So it's almost axiomatic, man, that you have a resource base before you can effectively pursue a spiritual path.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. And when you're paycheck to paycheck, and I'm not quite paycheck, but I'm pretty close to paycheck to paycheck, you can't think straight. I mean,
Right.
it's nice
That's
to
right.
be pray. It's nice to meditate. I'm not saying you don't do that, but after you do the meditation prayer, you got to go make some money.
That's right, man. That's right. There's no doubt about it. You can do both, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You're going to have to eventually learn how to do both because that's part of the struggle. I mean, that's a part of the dynamic of spiritual evolution. But it's much easier to focus on growth, spiritual growth, if you have resource comfort, or at least assuredness. If you are not concerned about where you're going to obtain sustenance, then you can better deal with spiritual matters. But if you're always on the edge of survival, and for African Americans, for too much of our history, we've been on that edge, and many of our communities are still on that edge. That's why many of them are so toxic, man. It's because of that. We have predatory cultural values because we've been chronically on that edge, and so that's why reparations, I think, is absolutely necessary. Just like it was necessary for white people in the after the Depression, man, and when the New Deal came along, that was really what the government came in and rescued white America and created the white middle class through a enormous deployment of resources, and we need a similar kind of deployment for African Americans.
Can I stop this now, Mr. Muwakkil and Sling? Can I do a part two real quick?
Yes, sir.
Let me cut this one off because I'm thinking about laissez-faire capitalism and spirituality. I don't know how they intertwine, but we're gonna try to go there.
Okay.
Hold on now.